Hi all, Brad right here from singlemalt.com.au, and this month, just something a bit special. We're doing a whiskey this month, a Caol Ila. It's a single cask offering. There's only 312 bottles of this were produced, right? So it's a pretty limited whiskey. It's a 2009 vintage Caol Ila from a single hogshead, bottled by Signatory Vintage. It's unchill filtered. It's cask strength, so it's 57.2% alcohol. It's a big whiskey from Caol Ila. Now, the Caol Ila distillery, set up in 1846, went through a few changing of hands, closed down a couple of times in the 1930s and 40s and reopened. Then in the early 70s, it was acquired by Diageo, who knocked it down, rebuilt it, and in 1974, it reopened at triple the size that it was. It went from 2 stills to 6 stills. These days is pumping out about 3.5 million litres of raw spirit every year, which is quite a lot. The vast majority of that raw spirit goes into Diageo's blends. It forms the backbone of the Johnnie Walker Black. It also makes up a great deal of Bell's, White Horse, Scottish Leader, and a couple of others. Between 74 and 2002, Diageo was not bottling any distillery bottlings of their single malt. It was all going into their blends. So the only single malt Caol Ila you could get your hands on was coming from the independent bottlers, such as Signatory Vintage or others such as Gordon MacPhail that we've featured in the past. The Caol Ila spirit is renowned as in Islay as the lighter, a very lighter spirit, floral, but lots lighter and less oily than the majority of the Islay whiskies. They do this by using a couple of different techniques. One is a longer fermentation period. The other is utilising a later sort of part of the heart cut when they distill. If you want to have a bit of a look into these methods, a bit of a read, our 2018 review of the Cotswolds whiskey goes into these methods quite in detail. So if you want to read up on that, have a look at that. But anyway, back to this month's Caol Ila. Like I said, unchill filtered, undiluted, 312 bottles. Let's have a taste. As you can see, pretty straight to the point, silver tube. A label that tells you what's in the whiskey, what's in the bottle, nothing more, nothing less. Straight to the point with this one. As you can see, fairly pale colour, giving away the that ex-bourbon hogshead that it's been aged in. And straight away, now that I've poured that, I've actually been hit by a real sort of medicinal iodine aroma that's come here. Much taken me back to sitting on the kitchen bench with Mum patching me up after a BMX accident. That freshly opened Band-Aidy smell, that sort of betadine or whatever it was. That's what it smells like. That's around. So, as you can see, very pale straw colour. It's a cask strength, I mentioned, so I am going to cut it down with a bit of water, just a few drops to start with, just to unlock it, as they say. And let's see. Righto, so that iodine medicinal stuff is still around, but it has dissipated. Now I'm just getting a very light floral note spirit. There's a little bit of smoke and peat sort of around that, but really the sweetness is coming through there. Vanilla notes, and just a tiny bit of smoke on the nose there. Wow! Once that initial sort of medicinal peatiness dissipates, it's very subtle on the nose. Oh wow! Wow, that instantly just coats the mouth. Beautiful, medium spiciness all over my mouth. There's sweetness there. There's vanilla. Those fruity notes, those pears. Yum, apples. And a finish, real saltiness sort of sweeps over. Sort of a cured meats sensation. And then more of that sort of salty iodine-y, hempy, salty iodine-y qualities. Delicious. Anyway, 312 bottles of this. Delicious whiskey. First in, best dressed with this one. Bloody nice. See you next month. Saint Java.